Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of why are people so miserable nowadays? So for this video, I'm going to discuss this topic of why people are so unhappy in a simple and straightforward way so anyone can understand it. So if you're interested in knowing why people are unhappy um, in this world nowadays, as well as learn a lesson that you can learn from our situation, then watch this video in order to find out, and trust me, you won't be disappointed. So now I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of why people are so unhappy nowadays in the modern world, is a lot of the issues that have been there for a long time have built up, so we're now facing the after effects of it, okay? And the truth of the matter is, when it comes to why people are so unhappy in the world nowadays, there's two main reasons why, okay? And it comes down to these specific things, okay? Politically and socially, okay? And politically can relate to things like obviously things like the economy. It can relate to things like obviously of course, aside from the economy directly, it could deal with like the reputation your nation has on a political scale, to obviously issues like global warming, all these particular things, including AI and all that type of stuff. And when it comes to socially, it can come down to things like how good race relations are going, to even how, to be quite blunt and honest with you, how well men and women are getting along, to how well people from different generations like baby boomers and younger generations are getting along, all that type of stuff, to put it bluntly. That right there, all those issues are an example of what happens when people don't deal with issues and they let it build up and build up and build up until it explodes. And now we're facing a situation where all those issues I mentioned are now coming to fruition because no one dealt with it, okay? And that's why people are so damn unhappy nowadays, okay? Because the truth is, to explain my point even more clearer, all the issues we've had throughout the years, okay? And I remember being a young kid growing up in the 2000s, to be quite honest with you, I remember I used to watch Discovery Channel and stuff, and National Geographic, History Channel, a lot of things. Those things used to warn us about, okay? Whether it could be everything from political issues, economic issues, to even the idea of a pandemic, to what happened. We had COVID, and COVID wasn't the most as bad as people make it out to be more exact. Look at the fact of how it's affected our lives, such as how bad inflation is, to even, of course, social issues like race relations, all that type of stuff. The truth of the matter, growing up in the 2000s, which is pretty much the last great decade, I remember they warned us all the time, okay, about if we do not do this and we do this instead, or in other words, to sum it up, we don't do this to deal with this particular issue, this is what's going to happen. And now, 20 plus years later, or at least close to 20 plus years later at this point, everything that they said was going to happen is now happening, okay? They talked about things like political division, getting worse and stuff. They talked about things like, many different issues as well aside from that, like economic issues, the possibility of World War III happening, which now look what's going on with Trump in Iran, to high inflation, all that type of stuff. They warn us all the time, for the people who watched it back then. If we don't do this, we will experience these results, and most importantly of all, global warming, that, and of course, artificial intelligence as well. Those two main things, global warming and artificial intelligence. We need to do this particular thing so we don't have to take the risk of everything falling apart. And people didn't do shit, and they didn't listen, and now we're facing the consequences of it. And stuff like that is the reason why people are so unhappy, like everything from the global warming issue, because people are concerned, okay, is the world going to come to an end, like in our lifetimes, like is my children going to have a good life, to obviously the issue of AI, is it going to take away all our jobs, to even, of course, the social issues. They did to a certain extent bring up social issues back then. All of that stuff they warned us about, and people did not listen. So now, in a day-to-day basis, we are all experiencing the end results of that type of stuff, okay? general as a whole, like the fact of all the of how high cost of food is, as well as the overall price of living, political divisions, like family members not talking to each other because the left, and the right politically are having issues. They didn't warn about the possibility for one documentary I watched about political division, or at least mention it. I don't remember exactly, but they didn't warn about further political alienation. Look at what's happening today. People nowadays are setting up profiles where they're literally letting people know I'm a left-wing person or I'm a right-wing person. Okay, and that's exactly what they warned us about, the problem of political alienation and people being only hearing one side of the story, not the other side of the story. And look at what's happening now, and even just simply how well gender relations are going. Men and women are not getting along at all. It's getting really bad now, and look whose fault it is. Well, oh shit, surprise, it's kind of you guys' fault, the masses. Which I'm not. Well, okay, let me explain that as possible. Okay, what I mean is, it's not necessarily maybe a person watching this video or most people watching this video, but to answer your question, it is the masses' fault. Okay, I'm not saying you guys watching this video are part of the masses being as ignorant as they are, but a lot of the masses, they were warned about a lot of these things to take its stuff more seriously. They didn't listen. I remember back in 2009, they were talking about global warming getting out of control, and all of these other issues. We'll just use specific global warming as an example. People didn't listen. They say, oh, I'll cut back, I'll do this, I'll do that, and they never really did. Now look at where the world is now. That's why we keep on having heat waves. We keep on having a lot of crops fail and stuff, and a lot of issues that are a result of global warming as a whole. No shit, no surprise to anyone who actually uses their brain. They were warned, they didn't take it seriously enough. They put enough pressure on the government to create alternative forms of energy, whether it could be electric cars that actually work properly and all that stuff, and now look at how things are going now. And well, it's a case of what you think was going to happen. And that's the honest truth here. The masses didn't listen. And if anything, if you said a lot of things that are happening now would happen back then, people would laugh at you. And not only laugh at you, they'd even try to give you a hard time, even straight up try to bully you, for that matter, to be quite blunt and honest with you. So it's like, well, now you have to deal with the consequences. Who's laughing now? Just like the people who warned about global warming like decades ago, people laughed at them. People also warned about there might be a financial recession coming, and people laughed at them. And then guess what? In 2008, it did happen. So it's like, well, who's fucking laughing now? If anything, it makes people who try to warn people since they experience humiliation, if anything, be more likely to go like, okay, I'm actually happy this is happening because you guys made fun of me for saying these things, and now you're actually realizing I was right. So, well, there you go. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say. All these things are happening now. People were warned about and they didn't listen. And now, since there's so many issues, of course, for the average individual to deal with, and they're building up and they're building up and they're building up and they're building up, it's obviously going to affect people's mental health because people are obviously concerned about the state of the world, as well as how it directly affects them, like the price of living, let alone, of course, socially. If you're going around places and looking at people of different races and saying, well, I don't really get along with them, or even worse, well, in a sense, just as bad, to be honest with you, and actually just as bad, if anything, you can even be, to be honest with you, why men and women are not getting along. It's because all these things that they were warned would happen, they didn't listen. And all these other issues like global warming and all that stuff, AI, everything they weren't warned about. So all these issues build up, and now you have not just one thing to worry about, like the high cost of living, global warming, but you also have to worry about race relations being bad and even gender relations being bad, all in your head all at once throughout a period of time. So you have even more things to be unhappy about. So of course, as a result, it's going to impact your mental health significantly because you don't just have one thing to worry about, you have several things to worry about. And of course, that stress builds up together and makes you feel even more crappy. So that's why people are so unhappy today, because all the issues that are going on in the world, they're warned about, they didn't listen, and it's happening to everybody now. Okay, hopefully the people who watch my videos are intelligent people who would have been the ones who listen. Yes, we don't agree on everything. No two human beings agree on everything anyway, but we at least have common sense when it comes to basic how to run the world properly, to answer your question. But not, but the masses, nope, they didn't want to listen, and they just made fun of people for doing it. So that's the truth. Now, as the saying goes, play with fire, you get burnt, and you have not just get burnt, you have to feel the burn, and that's the truth. Okay. So anyway, to sum my video up, that's the point I wanted to make. Why the world's so unhappy, and the lesson is to learn, if you have an issue building up, you deal with it as soon as possible. You don't just let the issue build up and build up and build up until it gets out of hand. Okay. And that is a lesson learned from the situation. And hopefully, as we head towards a new future, especially with the new generation coming up, like Gen Alpha, and of course, generation after that, and yada yada yada. Hopefully, they don't make the same mistakes previous generations made. And that's the truth. Okay. So anyway, this is my video. This is off the saying. So we put it. I'm out. So bye.